Let's turn back now to this federal jury investigation that found former Hillary Clinton attorney Michael Sussman not guilty on a charge of lying to the FBI. The trial was part of special counsel John Durham's investigation into the origin of the Trump-Russia investigation. The case centered around a September 2016 meeting with then top FBI lawyer James Baker, where Sussman passed along data he believed indicated a possible communications back channel between the Trump campaign and a Russian bank. Prosecutors accused Sussman of misrepresenting himself in the meeting, telling Baker he was passing on the information just as a concerned citizen, when prosecutors claimed he actually had two clients: the Clinton campaign and a tech executive who oversaw research into the Russian bank. Here is Sussman speaking yesterday after his acquittal.
First, I told the truth to the FBI, and the jury clearly recognized that with their unanimous verdict today. Despite being falsely accused, I'm relieved that justice ultimately prevailed in my case.
Durham said he's disappointed in the outcome, but that he respects the jury's decision. Many on the right held up the Sussman case as proof the Trump campaign and the White House were spied on. They especially used a February court filing from Durham to bolster their claims. This Fox News headline claimed the filing showed Trump Tower and the Trump White House were, quote, infiltrated. Though the filing never used that word, Trump claimed the case pointed to a, quote, far bigger crime than Watergate. The Wall Street Journal editorial board claimed, quote, Trump really was spied on. The New York Post editorial board wrote, Washington Post, New York Times should give back their Pulitzers for Russia-Trump reporting. The word reporting in quotes there. Here's what we've heard from some of Trump's staunchest allies on Capitol Hill.
The latest with the Durham report is that the Clinton campaign, the same group that fear-mongered this Russian collusion, actually spied on the President of the United States. They spied on the President of the United States. They spied and they lied.
You think about it, they spied on a presidential campaign. That's as wrong as it gets. But then we found out from this filing that they actually spied on a sitting president, which is even worse.
So, Joe, Sussman is acquitted, and the larger story here is kind of the fizzling so far of the Durham investigation. He's had 3 years to prove some deep state conspiracy, which is what the former president is looking for. So far, he's come up empty.
What's just asinine, and it's been asinine from the start. You know, Willie, this all started in March, I believe it was, of 2017, when Donald Trump said that Barack Obama was tapping his phones, and it continued. One lie after another lie after another lie, which was picked up by all of those news outlets that you just quoted, and then Barr lets Durham start investigating, supposedly investigating the investigators. But there's been absolutely nothing there from the beginning. And this pleading that everybody jumped on in February, we did an entire segment. I mean, I read it, tried to figure it out for 24 hours. I talked to legal scholars. They said, I don't understand this pleading. It looks like it was written by a 7th grader. And sure enough, it basically was. And then you see at the end of the day that this investigation of the deep state, this investigation of the investigators, is much ado about nothing. It's more weirdos, more conspiracy theorists, more freaks, and their language. Actually getting an attorney general to allow Durham to go out and make a fool of himself, to drag this out years, to make this investigation of the investigators longer than the original investigation, cost millions and millions of taxpayers' dollars, and have absolutely nothing to show about it in the end. But you have people being slandered throughout the entire process. And Willie, let's start with the FBI. Let's start with Donald Trump. Let's start with those right-wing dominant media people who continue to slander the FBI. Let's talk about House Republican leaders who slander the FBI day in and day out, and have been slandering the FBI day in and day out because they dared investigate a politician, a failed game show host who did one thing after another that raised legitimate suspicions. So here we are, after years of slandering the FBI, they have absolutely nothing to show about it. And of course, the hilarity of the whole Sussman thing, after we heard that the deep state, the FBI, they were going after poor Donald Trump. Poor Donald Trump was a victim. Well, this case was actually Sussman supposedly lying to the FBI. So Durham couldn't even make the FBI the bad guys. Durham had to bring a complaint where the FBI was the victim of lying. And even that was a lie by Durham. They need to shut this down. It is a joke. It started with Donald Trump lying about Barack Obama tapping his phones in Trump Tower, and it's ended with this. It's time to put it behind us.
Yeah, the jury voted unanimously to find Sussman not guilty, and you do wonder how much longer this Durham probe will go on when it's uncovered not much of anything so far. Let's bring into the conversation attorney George Conway, a contributing columnist for the Washington Post. George, your reaction to the verdict and the ongoing Durham investigation. Where is this headed next?
Well, I hope it's headed into the trash can, because it should be, the Justice Department should put an end to this ridiculous investigation now. This case was a joke. The entire Durham investigation was a joke. There was nothing here to begin with. The jury found that it was a joke because the jury came out after the verdict, after a 6-hour deliberation, and basically said, there was nothing here. This case never should have been brought. I mean, he was accused of lying about whether or not he was there on behalf of any client. Well, if I say that I'm not here on behalf of any dog, that doesn't mean I don't have a dog. I mean, it's just silly. And it was just a charge that was just designed to just throw a bunch of stuff out into the public domain to get people excited. And again, it was just a sideshow. I mean, this whole Alpha Bank thing, about the transmission or the searches for web addresses. I mean, it wasn't spying. It was stuff that internet people look at all the time. And there's no allegation that he was trying to mislead the FBI into anything. And the fact of the matter is, it doesn't cast any aspersion on the entire Russia investigation, as demonstrated by the August 2020 report from the Republican-controlled Senate Intelligence Committee, which detailed hundreds of contacts between the Trump campaign and Russia, including Paul Manafort, the campaign chairman, giving confidential polling data to a Russian operative. I mean, it doesn't cast any doubt on that. And that investigation didn't have anything to do. It wasn't started by anything Hillary Clinton did. It was started by that guy Papadopoulos, the coffee boy that Trump talked about, who was at a bar in London talking to an Australian diplomat and saying, "Oh, there are these emails that the Russians have about Hillary." Well, the Australian guy did the right thing. He had his government call the FBI, and that's how this investigation got started. It wasn't anything to do with what the Clinton people did.